I've been very poorly this week, so... But I have made it out to come and see the new tractor which they brought home. It's like my first outing outside. I feel a lot better now, which is good. So they got the new tractor. Let's go and have a look at it. Oh, it's very shiny. Very shiny. And it's got a crane exhaust. So any guesses what it is? It's 185. I told you that it was a 6R. Oh, the steps are quite tall. It's got the new Command Pro joystick. Can't really see it's in the dark. We'll have to come and have a look tomorrow when it's not as... It's got the new gear stick. Oh, it's got the dash here rather than here. Fridge. Where's the lights? Oh, look at that. It's got a funny bonnet. It's almost like the size of a 6250 in it. It's a bit bigger than a 155, but it's not as wide. That's what I think.
So I'm afraid to say Eleanor, unusually, I think that this is the first time ever, is actually really poorly, and she has hit the diff literally in a different way this week. So I'm left to do her Ellie's Welly, and we've got a mention for Lucy Gilbert, happy 18th birthday to you. And Henry Blain is going to be visiting the IAGRM, the meeting on Monday the 24th of April, and he's head of livestock for Sainsburys, so it's hot topic at the moment for the Farmers Weekly. If you're interested in livestock farming,
thank you, Ben, and here's some of the things we saw
the
with Andrew
IAGRM
Meredith.
website, Thames Valley branch, and get yourself along there and get well soon, Eleanor. We need you back on the farm.
So we've just been to the IAGRM event with Andrew Meredith, and I'm with Ben Wood.
Hello.
If you don't know anything about tech, Ben is the founder of the Mobile Phone Museum in London.
That's right. Well, it's just an online museum, but yeah, mobilephonemuseum.com.
Amazing. So how did you find it this evening?
Well, I'm a technologist. I'm not involved in agriculture at all, but I'm very interested in agriculture,
Yep.
and it's been very interesting to watch Eleanor and her journey, and it's helped me skill up. And tonight we've been at an agricultural event. The editor of Farmers Weekly was here.
Yep.
He gave a short talk about the history of agriculture,
Yep.
which is quite interesting. But there are a lot of topics that are very current, and
Yes.
the wider kind of consumer market has become more interested. A lot due to Clarkson's farm, which has been an interesting topic of
Yeah,
debate
and we
tonight.
had a discussion about that.
Which was very much around, be careful about pinning all your hopes on one individual to be able to tell the story of agriculture, which is why it's important that you tell that story. People said that this evening. But of course, those kind of questions are having to be addressed. So we heard questions about food security, questions around land use in the future, what's
Yeah.
going to happen with
We
the
did.
government position on funding agriculture, questions around
Interesting.
phosphates and
Yeah.
water courses, which was a very interesting area. So for me, it was just really educational, and thank you very much for
Yeah,
raising my awareness to it.
and you really enjoyed it, and you feel like you got lots out of it, and a good meal.
I think it was very good. I think it was great. It was very interesting. I mean, the demographic was old white men, which you have to probably sit in a lot of rooms like that. There were tenant farmers. There were farmers who
Was it
owned
from
it.
everywhere? Yeah.
There were people from all over, of all different types of farming, and it's clear right now is a very, very turbulent time in the farming community.
War in Ukraine, everything going on, fertiliser prices rocketing through the market. I agree with you.
Really big challenges. So it's great to get a window into it, and I think they've got more events in the future. So I think they've got someone from one of the big supermarkets coming next.
Yeah,
to,
so that'll be in my Ellie's Welly, which I'll show you next.
Very good.
Thank you so much for coming, and I'm glad you enjoyed it.
A pleasure. Nice to come along. Thanks for having me.
After Series 1, we gave him our Farming Champion Award in partnership with the NFU at that year's Farmers Weekly Awards. He went to the Farmers Guardian Awards, so that was terrible. He didn't so we immediately regretted that decision. We saw the trouble that he was long before anyone else had. No, not before that poor bloke who got punched. He saw it before we did. What I always come back to is, well, it surprised me enormously that he didn't suffer a greater financial punishment for his frankly awful comments about Meghan Markle and comparing her to Rose West and whatever. I thought when that story broke that at the very least he would probably lose his job on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and he may even get dropped by Amazon. And so it goes to show that if you are a profitable personality, you do get dropped a lot more slowly than an unprofitable one. J.K. Rowling, she's still, I believe, writing non-Harry Potter books, and they're still getting published. She still has her platform, for example. I think the lesson of it is that we probably shouldn't put our faith too much in any individual, least of all someone with a checkered past. But I keep coming back in my head to what Minette Batter said back then, that November of that year after Series 1, when they were having a food security summit, and she said, I have MPs coming up to me in Westminster, having watched Clarkson's farm, and saying, finally we get it. And so there is enormous value in that. But there is also a cost to being aligned with him too. But at the moment, we are still in the net benefit column. But he's still an arsehole.
I wonder whether we as an industry are our own worst enemy in immediately looking to the government to solve our problems. I mean, I sat in a discussion with some farmers earlier today, and I counted in the course of an hour discussing the words the government was mentioned about 40 times in the course of an hour. And I'm always reminded of that famous Ronald Reagan phrase, I'm from the government, I'm here to help, as kind of a sort of alarm bell phrase. And I absolutely accept all the point you make about market failure and the issues of food and health, and I absolutely agree with all that. So I'm being slightly controversial here, but do you think we're in danger because all of us in this room, over many generations, really for the last 3 generations of farmers, we've grown up since the mid-20th century with this symbiosis between farming effectively being managed in one form or another by government policy?
Yes.
And it's very interesting to me, in my new job, actually having spent some time, for example, in Australia and in other parts of the world, where the mindset is just totally different, right? The government is something that happens in the background, and it provides some kind of baseline level of regulation and compliance, but fundamentally, the farmers just get on and do what they want to do with their businesses. And I'd be interested in your perspective on whether we're our own worst enemy somewhat in just constantly having this government comfort blanket that we think we need to hang on to.
Yeah, I think there's quite a short answer to that, which I've closed a few other talks that I've done, is my perspective is simply this, that if you are a business that is waiting for the government to do the right thing, then stop. Because if you are not viable without support payments or on your current trajectory for any reason, then you will go out of business before they ride to the rescue.
What's a farm for? And it's really sort of debating, is it for environmental goods, public money for public goods, services, or is it there to produce food? You said a few minutes ago about, it's not, you're not clear which route we're going to go down, environmental or food production, in terms of sort of government support. Almost implying that the two are completely incompatible. Do you think that, or
it is,
are they actually one of the same thing?
I think a farmer should conclude that they are not incompatible, and I follow the regen debate with interest, and I would instinctively be a supporter of that in the main. But that where they diverge from a Whitehall perspective is there seems to be a clear desire to buy change environmentally and buy environmental goods and services, but there seems to be no desire to buy food